You're listening to Sungazer's Electro. It's a track off our new EP, which came out this week, and today we're going to take a look at how this track was made. Sungazer is my project with bassist Adam Neely, and he'll be joining us later. The footage you're about to see is from the drum recording session in December 2016. Let's go check it out. This is the space where I will be recording the next Sungazer songs. Adam has already pretty much arranged this tune. He's sent me some basic drum ideas and a demo to check out. Here's with the click. So kind of very syncopated thing here. We got this kind of breakdown thing. Dubstep. Then there's another really cool part at the end here, which is this like 5/16 or quintuplet jam with the click. 2, 3, 4. Here's with the drums. Program drums. First thing I want to do is write a chart for the song. I'll listen to the track and I'll count the number of measures in each section. 4, 5. Okay, that was 8 bars there of the breakdown. I'm gonna call this the pre-chorus. I don't want to write too many details at this stage, but I do want to get a sense of the big picture. 7. I want to know how long each section is, and at the most I might write a word or two about the groove in each section. Making a chart like this gives me all of the essential information that I need about the track on a single sheet, which is why I like to do this first. The next thing I'll do is record a very quick and dirty take of the song. I'm not really concerned about getting anything right, but I do want to see kind of what musical things will work. Next, I'll listen through the track. I will evaluate the parts. A lot of them, frankly, won't work. It's good energy with the cymbal. I don't know if that's the right vibe, though. But over time, they'll evolve. I like this part now. And once I get into the flow of things, I'll follow inspiration. All right, so I'm thinking the intro of the ending. I'm hearing a hi-hat ostinato thing. Some little fills here and there on the drums. Which I had the idea for that previously, and then I kind of abandoned it because it was going to be too hard to play. But I might have to shed a little bit. And then we go full into the groove, and that I think maybe should just be full on like drum solo over vamp type vibe. In the beginning, I was playing some very general beats that kind of would work over anything, and while it sounded okay, it wasn't as tight or interesting as I would like. And so it's at this point that I decided to transcribe some of the rhythms that were in Adam's original demo. I got all this written out. I'm going to be picking and choosing a few select accents to catch here, and then more than anything, I just want to make sure that my kick patterns and stuff are compatible with these rhythms. With the parts transcribed, I started playing around with the rhythms on the drum set. I tend to like starting at 50% tempo, which is intentionally and obnoxiously slow. And that really forces me to understand exactly what I'm playing. So I've been working on that chorus part. I've now sort of picked out all the accents that I want to catch, and it's feeling a lot better. I went through the same process for each section, practicing slowly, listening back, and changing parts until they felt good. I slowly worked them up to speed and then sent Adam a demo of the full song to show him the parts I've been working on. He liked the parts, so with everything finalized, I started recording full takes and finally ended up with the drums that you hear on the EP. Cool. With the drum tracks recorded, my work was done. So at this point, Adam took over the production and also composed some new sections in the second half of the song. I recently sat down with Adam with the final version of the track to discuss what happened next.
Check 1, 2.
So tell me what happened after you got the drums back.
So the first thing I do whenever I get any of your drum tracks is I zoom in, I grab usually the kick and the snare.
Yeah.
And Ableton has this really awesome feature called Convert Drums to New MIDI Track. It basically takes the transient when the drum actually hits first, and then it converts it to a MIDI note. This is the sound of your regular kick drum.
Yeah.
But then we also have layered at the exact moment the drum hits, electronic kick to go along with the MIDI note. And then the two of them together create this nice little, A snare has its own vibe, so this is what you actually played. Then once you add this beefy, it's
Nice.
like way over the
Nice.
top. But when you have the two of them together, you hear that like snap from the acoustic snare, and then you have the actual like beefy electronic snare. Once I have an electronic vibe going on for your drums, then I can start like figuring out what music to write on top of it.
Right. Well, the first half of the song was pretty much arranged from the beginning, and then at the end, I did this like extended drum solo, which was much longer than that section was in the demo.
Yeah, because I mean, it's similar to the idea of like when we were originally starting Sungazer, you would send me these solos, and then I was just supposed to write on top of it. But compositionally, those were all songs. This isn't. You were thinking of it like a solo.
Yeah.
And the arc of a solo is different than the arc of a song.
Right.
So I had to write music with that in mind. So we basically started out like a bass solo moment-ish, which was I think in the original demo.
Yeah.
And I think it's the original, yeah, it is the original bass part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like basically took what I recorded and then pitched it up a perfect fifth because I like that effect.
Yeah.
And that effect I also put on the next section, which is a sax solo.
Right.
So I thought it'd be cool to have Mr. Jared Yeed come in and record some sax solo stuff. These are all the takes he took. He took like 7 or 8 takes. And then I spliced them together to create like a master take. So like this is an unedited take right here. That sounds good. Yeah, so the energy there is like still super high. Where do we go from here when the sax solo ends? And I think that whenever you take the bass frequencies out of a section, the effect, especially when the energy is high, is to create tension.
Yeah.
One of the best like arranging techniques, a lot of jazz bands will do this, will like in the middle of a solo, it'll like the band will drop out and it'll just be the sax and a drummer. This is kind of that same effect, except it's not the sax and a drummer, it's like this trance synth and a drummer. So the interesting thing about this rhythm, takata, 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 is that that's how the patch in Serum ended up just working with Ableton's 5/16 time signature. Because takata, takata, takata is just a group of 2/16 notes and an eighth note. And so it's going to play 2/16 notes and an eighth note.
No matter what the time signature is.
Exactly. So it ends up being groups of 4 quintuplets.
Right, right. Which is actually perfect. I don't know if you did this intentionally, but at the end of this section, the drums are playing every 4th quintuplet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then we get to the infamous 40th note section.
Wait, what? Yeah, 40th notes. Come on, that's not a thing. Is it? I mean, yeah, I'm playing quintuplets in the hands, and then I'm doubling that rate by sticking a kick note in between all of those. There's 40 notes per measure, so they're 40th notes. Anyway.
It's tricky because
Right.
it could sound very cluttered with all of this.
Sure.
So I ended up doing this sort of synth groove.
Yeah.
And I think that helps like congeal everything in the drum part.
Sure.
And then we get to this end section, which it's just like. So you're playing all sorts of stuff. Musically, what do you add on top of that? You really can't add a whole lot. And there's one particular I remember talking about where you're playing, I guess, like a nested triplet inside the quintuplets. And originally, I just kept the synth going on top of it. So you can't really hear it that well. There's just like a lot of notes happening.
Yeah.
And you suggested that that rhythm should be reflected in the synth part a little bit more.
Right.
So this is how it sounds like. And then we got this like sax thing going on right here. It's kind of nice because all this chaos is going on.
Yeah.
And that was like this pad of sax behind it. And then my favorite element is the haze. Hey, hey! Yeah, and then that's Electro.
I'll leave you with the full video of the final drum parts recorded for this song. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and be sure to check out the amazing animation that our friend Ben Levin did for this song over on Adam Neely's channel. The EP is out and available on all digital music services, so please check that out as well. Thank you for watching. This is Electro.
You don't